Hi and welcome to this week's video. In this week's video we're going to make a start on the cooling duct for the oil cooler, or the air duct for the oil cooler. We'll see how we get on. So join me in the video. Right then, so I've cut the hole in the front of the cowl. We've got that piece I've got to fill in, and that hole there on the left I've got to fill in. Got that wrong when I drilled at the front cover initially. I didn't quite have it vertical. But at the moment I'm looking at the oil cooler installation side, and let's see if I can get this sorted out a little bit for you. It's going to fit around about there. I am going to have to put a sealing piece up to the back end of the engine so that we don't have all the air bypassing it, or cooling air bypassing it. But the that's one little bit I've got to try and get sorted. But the actual duct going back to it will sort of come off the sides here, go down across the bottom and up the other side. Being two pieces, I anticipate having a split in it about here, so that I can make up the front section to fit. It allows me a little bit of fiddle around room for doing that. Now here are the brackets which I've made up out of 6082 T6, 2mm. I've actually gone a good chunk bigger on the radius than the minimum radius to help make sure there's no stress cracking or anything like that on there. It's the last thing I want, is an oil cooler flapping around in the engine bay. So that'll fit on there quite nicely on each end, and it fits. Oops, fit in there onto those bits there, and I've made an allowance for the duct, so with those mounted on either end, it's got enough room for a tongue off the ducting to go into there on each side and be bolted into place along with the oil cooler itself. To seal up the top here against these fins and bits is going to be quite awkward to do, but I'm not going to actually block them off 100%. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a foam strip across the top there. Hopefully we'll get rid of most of the undulation-y bit into there. I'm contemplating just sticking it straight to the top of the oil cooler, so it'll be quite deep, about I don't know, half an inch or so deep, so it's actually squashed up into that. And these plates will be offset slightly, so that there's no chance of them chattering or chafing on that little oil way there. So they're going to be upset by about a millimetre, 1/16 of an inch, something around there, 1.5 millimeters, on nylon washers, top and bottom, to help ensure that there's no great stresses being put on. Only being held on by one plate. I'm not doing the two plates. I don't think I'll gain an awful lot from that. So that's the initial bit created. I just need to get some M6 bolts so I can bolt this little lot into position. I thought I had some, but I haven't. Believe it or not, they're M5.5s that I had. That's one little bit. And then the ducts. Right, a bit more thought on the ducts. With the oil cooler fitting, let's say about there. There isn't an awful lot of space between the back of the mini sump. That's this thing here, this is the mini sump. There's not an awful lot of space between there and the oil cooler, and I need to make up an access hole here so that I can take that off and the access cover off and drain the oil through there, and also when it comes to slightly bigger servicing, so I can actually drop this little lot off and clean the strainer oil filter setup that's inside. So that makes it very hard for me to put a bypass in here to block off the oil cooler for temperature control in flight. So thinking about what else could I do? Well, I could make a little slat system here, which would allow air to bypass straight down, and only a little bit of air would carry on going back through the oil cooler. That might be a possibility. Well, there's the battery in position with two Velcro straps holding it down. I've done a due pull test on that little sort of setup just to make sure. It's a Lifey battery, so it's very lightweight, and the straps got no issues at all. So just got connect the battery. We can connect the terminals up. I'm not connecting the terminals up at the moment because I just to save any chance of accidentally operating the master switch and having shorts, because we haven't got the cables set up onto the starter motor and that at the moment. But there we go, that's that in position. This battery's got a built-in control system, charge control system, so as long as we don't exceed 14.6 volts coming in from the alternator, it'll balance charge all the cells and keep everything happy and smiling. Yippee! There's a bit of planning, drawing up what I anticipate the piece of metal would look like. I've transferred some of the dimensions onto this piece of aluminium alloy, which I've cut down using my bench guillotine there, and that takes the sort of section from the back of here to here. Sorry, here at the front. That'll be where our first section goes. The round hole in the drawing here is to accommodate the mini sump, so we can drop that to do the filter scree check and to do standard oil changes. So we'll put anchor nuts and things around that, and the edge of this little lot goes up, and it's got a little bend going out on the sort of front view going across. That bend out is to make sure that when the side plate's on there, it's not going to just get blown out by the airflow going in. It stays reasonably well attached to the side there, although I'll put some anti-chafe on so it doesn't sort of chatter into the engine side and seals a little bit. So that's what that little if you can see it, that little L-shaped bits there for. This is the cutout here, so we've got plate running underneath the oil cooler, which will have foam on it, and there's foam on top of the oil cooler where it goes onto the bottom of the sump, and this is a cutout for the oil cooler to sit in, and then we've got the holes for these brackets here to to hold the oil cooler in position. I may actually just cut that back a little bit and put notches in, try and fold that lip so it's got a little bit of a lip, so I can put some foam seal on there, and there'll definitely be a foam seal going underneath the oil filter between this flat plate and the oil filter oil cooler itself. So that's what that's like. We've got one extra hole on the port side because of this stud here. I may just take that stud out and get rid of that. And then we've got these two holes here, which will be to accommodate the unions. I'm going to cut those straight out the back, so that we could actually undo this and take the oil cooler out if we wanted to, or we could undo the bolts here and take the tray out, leaving the oil cooler sort of semi-dangling in thin air a bit, should I need to get to the underside of everything. One could argue that would negate having this here, but I don't really want the oil cooler just to be dangling on its hoses. But I could do it that way if necessary. I'll have a little think whether I'll bother to make a little tray up. What I'll do is I'll bend all this lot and have a look to see how much clearance there is between here and the plate. If there's not much clearance, then I'll make this the cover for this dished, so that it can catch oil and bits and pieces, but just produces enough of a gap to get a little bit more airflow around the bottom of that. It wouldn't take much to make up or something just to dish that, you know, for a bit of fun, and I've got the room there to do that. And then we come to what we're going to do for cutting off the airflow, or reducing the airflow through the oil cooler for the winter time, and or to help it warm up faster in the summertime, because here in England it doesn't get super hot. You know, we start whinging and moaning if it gets to 23 degrees centigrade, and people seem to start kicking the bucket when it gets to 30, so it's not like Arizona or anywhere like that. Well, there it is, bent up, and it'll fit something like about there, like that, with the oil cooler hanging down. It's got to go a bit high. I've got to get that hole there sorted out, and I need a couple of bolts and bits to go into the holes on the sump, or the block there. Unfortunately there, I've got some serious work to do on my car brakes, so I won't be doing anything more this week, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to spend the time fixing the car, but we are coming up to bank holiday, so in the next week's video I should have hopefully a bit of an opportunity to make a jump and hopefully get this little lot finished. I have managed to get one thing there. I've got this type of shutter system here, which I'll put into the that section of ducting about there, and what that'll do is it'll allow me to, I'll operate it by cable, it'll allow me to open up, or I might just make it so it's just operated by hand, but it'll allow me to open up and those louvers, and that means that the air will blow in, and some of it will go through the oil cooler, but a great chunk of it will go out through the bottom. When they're closed up, it'll force everything to go back along the sump and through the oil cooler. So that'll be how that works. Nice simple sort of setup. I can put a cable on it if I want to have it a quick cable operated open and close sort of setup, or I could just tighten this up a little bit and have it so it's manually operated. I think I might still go for a cable. It'd be quite easy. I've got space on the instrument panel. I'll show you where I'll go. I'll probably put it up here. Just a simple sort of choke type knob to operate that there. I think that would work quite well. Well, that's it, folks. Sorry, not much progress, but I've got to keep the car going so I can go to work and earn the pennies to pay for the aeroplane. Although one might say work does stop play because of course it uses up time. It's one of those necessary evils. But anyway, we've made a start, we've got a plan, and there's a nice long weekend for the May bank holiday coming up, so we may well have a good chance to get it finished in the next video, or at least the basic setup. We'll see how we get on. So look after yourselves and hopefully catch you next video. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.